Alright, so tayo nagbabalik muli mga kababayan. So welcome back po dito sa ating channel at ito po muli ang inyong Kuya Mobs dito sa Mobs PH TV. Alright, so shoutouts po muna tayo sa lahat ng mga patuloy na nakasuporta dito sa ating channel. Maraming salamat po sa inyo sa Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao at sa iba't ibang dako ng mundo. Maraming salamat po sa inyo mga kababayan. No? Mga bago natin subscribers dyan, maraming salamat po sa inyo, syempre. No? At ito po ang ating gagawa ng reaction video po ngayon ay mula dito sa Kwentong Kaalaman channel uli mga kababayan. No? At don't forget to subscribe po dyan sa channel po na yan at supportahan din po ninyo mga kababayan. No? At panoorin nyo po yung mga video uploads po niyan, syempre. Huwag nyo pong kakalimutan mag-subscribe din dito sa ating channel. At ilike po itong video na to mga kababayan. No? Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Okay, sabi po dito, video ni Imelda na hindi nilalabas ng media. No? At bakit kaya ito ay hindi inilalabas? At bakit bibihira itong mapanood? No? Dahil nga hindi ito inilalabas dito sa ating bansa. At hindi ito ganong tinututukan ng mainstream media dito po sa ating bansa. No? Kaya karamihan sa ating mga kababayan ay bulag. Hindi nila nakikita kung ano yung nangyayari po, no? Alright, so ito, umpisa na natin at huwag na natin patagalin itong video na to mga kababayan. Right? Let's go!
The whole airport was filled with their supporters.
Just like General MacArthur, Imelda Marcos has returned. She is fighting her own war for the hearts and minds of Filipinos.
We love Imelda. Yeah. Always.
The same Filipinos who threw her out of the country 5 years ago.
Support po mga kababayan, no? Subscribe po natin yan.
Not everyone saw the Marcos regime as an evil dictatorship. In an attempt to capitalize on that support, the couple began to make some rare but dramatic appearances around Honolulu.
They have a name for themselves, these people who carpooled and rode buses and walked to a street corner in Old Kalihi, where the president of the group Friends of Marcos has a travel agency. They call themselves the Silent Majority, Ilocanos with ties to Marcos's home province in Ilocos Norte. Transplanted Filipinos who say they have until now quietly borne the indignities of exaggerated and false reporting about their...
Okay, so yung silent majority po na yan mga kababayan, last election ay nadinig din po natin, no? At yung sinasabi nga na silent majority na yan ay ang suporta ay nandito kay BBM o na kay Bongbong Marcos. At napatunayan nga po na yung silent majority na yan ay hindi po natulog mga kababayan. No? Sa patuloy po siyang lumalakas at patuloy pong lumaki yung silent majority na yan na supporters din po ng mga Marcoses. Alright? So, ibig sabihin matagal na pala yung silent majority na yan at talagang nananahimik lang sila. No? Hindi nila pinapakita kung gaano kalaki ang puwersa nila. Not until now na nagkaroon po ng isang Marcos uli na tumakbo po sa pagka-presidente. At nakita naman natin kung ano ang naging resulta.
hero.
Oh yeah, they always take time. They would not leave until the people lives. Oh yeah, because this is the first time that the Filipino people see them, and of course they like to see them, and of course they like Mrs. Marcos and President Marcos would like to see them too.
No, wisdom.
Most media really in Hawaii are all for Aquino, pro-Aquinos, not all for Marcos at all.
They're wealthy, sure, that's a president. I mean, who doesn't? President Reagan lives in the White House.
Nobody, how much you poison our mind, we are still loyal to him. He's the best president the Philippines has ever had.
It was a crowd that Imelda Marcos knew would be more than receptive.
Grabe, no?
She wore the same simple dress that she wore when she and her husband faced the cameras for a news conference at Hickam. And she offered herself for press the flesh populism. The crowd surged forward to envelop her in support, to comfort her. And when the crowd pressed too close for comfort, supporters moved to protect her, targeting the big TV news cameras first.
Well, I think for her it was maybe a level of comfort that she can amass this kind of reaction outside of her own country. So, you know, I mean, all you're doing is playing it on a smaller stage, but it's the same routine. And she was always genuinely very open to her people.
She was helped onto an old table and the crowd saluted her.
Grabe. So etong mga video na to mga kababayan, hindi natin to nakikita dito sa ating bansa sa Pilipinas dahil hindi nga po ito ibinabalita, no? Pero ngayon ito makikita natin kung gaano kalaki yung suporta rin na natatanggap nila, no? Nung sila ay nasa Hawaii, nasa ibang bansa po, no? Ayun, grabe, ganyan po pala kalaki talaga ang mga taong nagmamahal sa mga Marcos kahit no nasa abroad man sila, no? Yan, grabe. Kaya pala hindi ito pinapakita dito. Alam nyo na kung bakit, di ba?
She was not there to talk with reporters, but Newsroom 9 got in a couple of quick questions in the highly charged atmosphere.
Marcos, could you tell me how you feel to be in this country? Homesick. Homesick. Yeah. Do you have anything to say to Filipinos here who feel not as happy as these Filipinos?
I do not intend to return to the Philippines unless I am needed there. If my return will start a civil war, the answer is no.
Alright, so ulitin nga natin yung mga kababayan, no? Para sinabi niya dito na kung babalik man siya sa Pilipinas, no, at ito ay magkokos ng civil war, no, hindi na lang siya babalik sa Pilipinas. So ganyan po kamahal ng dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos, no, ang ating mga kababayan. Ayaw niya na magkagulo. So ito po ay isang katunayan lang din, no, na ayaw ng Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos na magkagulo. Kaya umalis na lang din sila ng Malacanang nung panahon na papasukin nga po sila ng mga tao nung EDSA Revolution na sinasabi nila, no? So ito, malaking ebidensya to na si mismong Ferdinand Marcos ayaw niya ng kaguluhan, no? Ulitin lang natin yung kanyang speech, mga kababayan.
If my return will start a civil war, the answer is no.
So what would it take for you to go back to the Philippines?
What do you think? It would be a call by the people themselves. I don't intend to go there voluntarily offering my services and insisting that I be president.
After many attempts to...
So, sinasabi niya dito na ang mga tao ang magsasabi kung pababalikin siya o hindi, no? Hindi niya ipupush yung sarili niya, no, na ibalik dito sa Pilipinas o bumalik dito sa Pilipinas para sabihin siya pa rin ang presidente. No, so dito siguro natanggap na niya na hindi na siya ang presidente ng Pilipinas. No, dahil nga doon sa mga nangyari na yon at talagang bumaliktad naman na yung karamihan, no, ng mga tao sa gobyerno laban po sa kanya, di ba? So ito, tanggap na ng dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos na hindi na siya ang presidente at sinasabi nga niya na kung siya ay babalik doon on the call ng mga Filipino people, babalik siya. Pero kung magkokos yun ng civil war, kung ipipilit niya yung kanyang sarili na bumalik dito sa ating bansa, hindi na lang, no? Grabe.
To move to another country failed, the Marcoses remained in Hawaii until Ferdinand's death in 1989 at the age of 72.
Imelda Marcos was wrapping up an interview yesterday when she got the call. There was another crisis. Her husband's heart had stopped. Imelda went rushing to St. Francis Hospital.
So much to be done in all fronts for country, for your home, for your needs, for your health.
By the time she got to St. Francis, Ferdinand Marcos was on an internal pacemaker. His condition seemed to stabilize, raising the possibility that he would once again rally. But as the evening wore on, hope began to dim. Doctors said kidney and lung failure and a widespread infection added to the cardiac arrest that led to Marcos's death. That came shortly after the arrival from California of Marcos's son, Ferdinand Jr., who's known as Bong Bong.
When Bong Bong arrived, I think he felt that his son was there, so he opened his eyes. And after opening his eyes, that was it. His accomplishments are beyond imagination.
Grabe mga kababayan, no? So parang inantay lang si Bongbong Marcos na dumating no, bago nagpaalam yung kanyang ama na si Ferdinand Marcos. So napakasakit ng mga ganun tagpo, no, na magkakalayo kayo, tapos pagdating mo doon, nasa bingit na ng kamatayan yung tatay mo, diba? So napakasakit nun. Then titignan ka lang, then mawawala na siya. No, so ma-imagine niyo kung ano yung emotion sa loob ng kwarto na yon. No? Kung ano yung nararamdaman nila doon sa loob ng kwarto na yon, no? So ito po, hindi natin to nakikita. Bibihira po ito, no? Bibihira po itong ibinabalita. So ngayon lumalabas na yung mga ganitong klaseng video at nakikita na natin. No? At ito po ay isinishare ko din sa inyo mga kababayan. Kung gusto niyo mapanood yung full length po ng video na to, ay puntahan niyo po yung link nandiyan po sa comment section at nandiyan po sa description box. I-click nyo po mga kababayan. No? Andun po yung kabuuan po ng video na to na wala po nagsasalita, na wala pong kagaya ko na gumagawa ng reaction video. Alright? Tuloy po natin mga kababayan.
As I said, I'm very sure every Filipino, they might not realize it now, but I'm very sure every Filipino will say that President Marcos was the greatest president, and history will prove this.
And, you know, she carried herself, you know, I guess like the way Jackie Kennedy did after the president died, you know, American president Kennedy died, you know. She just held her level to that standard, and more so after he died. You can imagine what was going through her mind and her heart, but she now sort of felt like this is her time to kind of speak for him or to take his place. And she was, you know, she did that.
The president will never leave my heart and will never die as far as I'm concerned. He will always be there. In fact, he will be all the time there. In spirit, of course. But when you have become so intimately involved with another human being, there can never be a separation again.
Good afternoon, it's 12:58. You're on KISS AM Radio. It is true, and a lot of people have been in shock about what has happened over the last 8 to 10 hours.
This radio station is the only one here that caters to Filipinos. And today its switchboards lit up. Some people were angry that the flags at the Philippine consulate will not be flown at half-staff.
Since President Marcos was the sixth president and Aquino was only a senator, and they did that to Aquino, why can't they do that to ex-President Marcos?
Some say his body should be allowed home.
Can we do something about it, or we cannot do nothing? Here in Hawaii, we cannot do anything about it.
Following his death, President Corazon Aquino would not allow entry of Marcos's remains into the Philippines.
I've always considered only one thing, his wish, and the wish of every Filipino to be buried and led to rest in peace in his motherland.
So much has happened since the death of Ferdinand Marcos less than 24 hours ago. More recently, his body was made available for viewing as a deluge of reporters was allowed into the Marcos home. Leading the way, Imelda Marcos, still fighting for her husband's right to return to the Philippines.
How can you find this man dangerous man to security when he is now resting in peace forever?
Imelda Marcos now stands alone against criminal charges for allegedly looting her country of billions. She will vindicate herself, she says, once she resolves the long-standing issue of whether Marcos's body can return to his homeland.
This is so cruel, so inhuman, and so immoral.
His rule changed our country beyond recognition. In what ways he changed it, I leave to others and to history to describe.
But when I came to Manila, I had an interview with President Aquino. And I never forget this. I said, I can't remember everything, but I remember, how can you not allow him to come back? I mean, if he's already deceased, what's the big deal? That was my question. And she was very strong and said, basically, dead or alive, if he returns, it will create upheaval in our country. And I have to be aware of that. And I went, oh, okay. Because that's how strong Marcos was. And she knew it. And she wasn't gonna, make light of it. So she said, basically, no, I'm not gonna let him come back.
Still, the world wanted to know what happened to the money and would the Marcoses be held accountable. Imelda Marcos would face a highly publicized trial in New York City on charges that she raided the country's treasury and invested the money in the United States. She was acquitted.
It is the most publicized return to the Philippines since General Douglas MacArthur's during World War II.
Marcos, how are you feeling? Very excited and very happy.
Imelda Marcos.
You're not afraid? No.
And her entourage are leaving New York. Where are you going this morning? What's your schedule?
To the airport.
But it's not that simple. You've been through so much in this country. What should we think of Imelda Marcos?
I think now that they're starting to see the real Imelda, what is in my heart, not only the packaging outside. I was deprived of country and everything. People started to relate to the real me. Not the symbol, but the real Imelda. I am truly very grateful to this country for making...
Ito, yung talagang hindi pinakita. No? Ito yung talagang video na hindi nila pinapakita, mga kababayan. No? Imagine ninyo, nag-ano siya sa simbahan na nakaluhod, no? Na nagro-rosary. Diba? So, hindi to pinapakita sa mga TV dito sa Pilipinas noong mga panahon na yan, mga kababayan. No?
Me real.
It was a long flight, and we all thought about the same thing. And no, we didn't. The whole airport was filled with their supporters.
Just like General MacArthur, Imelda Marcos has returned. She is fighting her own war for the hearts and minds of Filipinos.
We love Imelda. Yeah. Always.
The same Filipinos who threw her out of the country 5 years ago. And while she is delighted to face the crowds in the streets, she also must face charges in court.
Alright, so yan mga kababayan, no? Grabe, no? Ito yung mga video clips na hindi nila pinapakita dito sa ating bansa, hindi binabalita ng mga mainstream media. No, bakit kaya, no? So, dun sa isang sinabi nga na aminado si dating Pangulo, no? Na si Corazon Aquino, no? Aminado siya na pag ibinalik dito, ito nga bangkay, no, yung katawan ng dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos, ang kinakatakot niya ay magwala yung mga tao, no? No, yun yung kinakatakot. So alam na alam ni Corazon Aquino kung gaano kalakas ang puwersa. No, kahit napatay na nga itong si dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos, alam niya kung gaano kalakas ang puwersa ng mga Marcoses. Lalo na yung mga loyalista, no, ng mga Marcoses. So takot din sila talaga sa mga Marcos. Kaya pilit nilang pinagtatakpan, pilit nilang gumagawa ng mga issue at pilit nilang itinatago sa sambayan ng Pilipino kung ano ang mga tunay na nangyari sa mga Marcos, no? Nasa magpasa hanggang ngayon, no, ay nailabas na nga natin, no, ng mga vloggers, nailabas na nga natin yung mga videos na yan, yung mga impormasyon na yan, at talagang namulat ang sambayan ng Pilipino na nagulat sila, no? Sa dami ng impormasyon na yan na hindi nila nakikita, hindi nila nalaman, no? So yan mga kababayan, panibago na naman tayo natuklasan, no? Alright, so muli ako yung nagpapasalamat sa lahat ng mga patuloy na nakasuporta po dito sa ating channel. Don't forget to subscribe po sa Kwentong Kaalaman, syempre. At i-subscribe nyo rin po itong ating channel and don't forget to like, no? Like nyo po itong ating video. Share nyo na rin po at click yung notification bell. Alright, so kita-kits tayo sa ating next video upload. Once again, kita-kits po tayo. Ito po ang inyong Kuya Mobs dito sa Mobs PH TV. Right? Peace. I'm out.